to say this is the first time I've ever read in a cage, but I'm going to try and channel my inner go-go boy. So I'm going to read a couple of short poems and then a short extract from my novel in progress. So the first poem is called Why Am I Here? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not here for a bit part in your drama, to help you feel calmer, to take charge like Obama. I'm not here to swallow your fright, to listen to your plight, to make everything right. I'm not here to play the game, to act the same, to take the blame. I'm not here to listen to your stories, reflect them back as glories. No, I am here to do the locomotion, to second that emotion, to float in the warm, salty ocean. I am here to get occasionally but gloriously drunk, to reminisce about my mohawk when I was a punk, to vogue like Madonna and chant like a monk. I am here to luxuriate in language laid out by Frantz Fanon, to gaze up at the moon that they put a man on, for spontaneous good times that I just didn't plan on. I am here to relish the sin, to love being the sinner, to be an expert at life, not just a beginner, to act like a player and feel like a winner. I am here for breakfast at Tiffany's, holidays in Rome, to be amazed and impressed at the scale of Half Dome, to take trains across continents to find my way home. Thank you. And then my second short poem is a poem about writing poetry, so it's very meta, and it's called The One That Got Away. This is not my last poem, or my first, not the alpha nor the omega, not the phoenix emerging from smouldering ash, not the millstone or the milestone, not the full stop at the end of this writer's life. It's not the poem that made it all worth it, not the crescendo or the climax, not the firework-fizzing orgasm of a poem, not the verse that came dripping unbidden from my hard-bitten pen. It's not the lines that write themselves, consecrate me with their eloquence, absolve me with their alchemy. No, not that poem. For this poem is a first-time recipe, a yeasty loaf that doesn't rise, is the photograph of a blurred face, is the key that sticks in the lock, a clock that stops at 4:10. It's a woman with soft eyes and strong hands who never laughs at my jokes. It's a conversation where my words betray me, a cigarette that won't light. It's the missed train, the late bus, the ball kicked but not curved. It's the one that got away, the child's paper boat floating downstream, blotting muddy water, brave and true in its smallness. And then this is an excerpt from my novel. It's kind of inspired by family history. It's about two brothers from the Caribbean who emigrate to London in the 1950s. And then Eddie, the younger brother, has just spent a night of passion with Bruce, and he's now late for his lunch with his brother. The bells outside clanged mercilessly again and again as if they would never stop. As Eddie emerged into consciousness, he became aware of the weight and warmth of another body wrapped around his, and a bright golden light pressing against his eyelids. He pulled a pillow over his head, and as he did so, his arms slid against silky, unfamiliar sheets. None of this made any sense. He tried to turn his head, but his brain had turned gelatinous inside his skull, and a crown of pain tightened around his forehead. If he held his head absolutely still, then the seasick nausea and the ache in his head receded. He closed his eyes. "Hey, sleepyhead." Bruce spoke softly and patted Eddie's hand. Eddie turned slowly and peeled the pillow off his face. How late was it? He looked at his watch. 11 o'clock. That couldn't be right. He was so used to waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning for work that he never usually needed to set an alarm. And here, Bruce lived right next to Big Ben, a 500-foot alarm clock heard around the world, and still Eddie had managed to sleep through it. Vikram and Kathleen were going to kill him if he was late. "What's the matter, Eddie? Too much good whiskey last night," Bruce said. "Far too much," Eddie said. He had never woken up in a bed with someone else, but now Eddie was stretched out in Bruce's bed. Any other Sunday, it would have been a complete luxury, but today it became a problem. But Eddie would like to touch Bruce, to be held by him, though he wasn't sure what the rules were in the harsh light of day. Was it still all right, or were they supposed to pretend that last night had never happened, to acknowledge that it never would have happened but for the party, and the dancing, and the whiskey? How was he supposed to act? This was all new to him. That was the thing with living in two different worlds. He was the one that had to straddle the gap, not anyone else. And right now he felt as if he was falling into the chasm again. "Why not stay here? I'll go and fetch the Sunday paper and make you a slap-up breakfast. Don't go straight away, Eddie." Bruce leant across the bed, ran his fingers through Eddie's hair. Eddie felt like a stroked cat. His skin felt alive and smooth. The folds and crevices of his body held the memory of Bruce's touch from the night before. He imagined the syncopated sound of Bruce's warm breath ragged in his ear again. Then the sheet tented where Eddie's erection pushed into it. He felt embarrassed and shifted his weight, but Bruce put his hand on Eddie's arm. "Don't move," Bruce said. "I like it when you show your affection that way." Images of the night before flooded into Eddie's brain. He regarded Bruce, sitting on the bed next to him in a blue silk kimono, and Bruce regarded Eddie. Bruce smiled then and reached for Eddie, and Eddie's thoughts of brothers and churches and pub lunches receded as his mouth collided with Bruce's. Thank you.